That would piss me off. Anyway, sorry, up on a tangent. We haven't even really started. Ed, welcome. How you doing, mate?
All good, mate. Started off at selling Pukka up tickets when I was in 2006. Selling physical tickets on the beach and nicking people's flip-flops to make them buy a ticket, do you know what I mean? Ibiza, mate, like, let's be honest. You're surviving on a couple of hours sleep a night. I mean, at Sankeys, for example, we had 140 consecutive parties to run. You can't have a day off. I was doing that up until 2019. That sort of rinse and repeat, up, work, up, work, up, work, up, work. And, you know, let's be honest, when you look back at it, your head is goosed. If you're going to do X, you got to show Y. You can't just go, it's all this. So let's talk about those days, those Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, where your head has firmed up your valve and you're sat there on the edge of your bed thinking, fucking hell, what's life? Let's talk about that. I guess you do get to a point where you think, I can't continue to do that. When you start thinking about, do I want to do this? You've got this voice saying, fucking let's crack on, this is fun. You know, that's the chaotic side. And then you've got the side that's going, mate, you're nowhere near your full potential here. Sort your shit out. So these two are having a battle. You're in the middle thinking, oh, what the fuck what am I doing?
Yeah, that was a wicked conversation with Will, that Jacky, and I'm buzzed up with the people that are subscribing. But do you know, YouTube keeps notifying me saying that 75% of people that watch the show regularly are still not subscribing.
But I'm not surprised because I keep getting notifications from Spotify and Apple and all the other audio platforms to saying that we've got about 75, 80% of people aren't subscribing either. And little do people know that it's free to subscribe.
Yeah, because my mum, that's what she said to me. She went, I'll subscribe. It doesn't cost me, does it? And I was like, no, you've got an account. Just click the subscribe button.
And if people subscribe, it helps us get bigger guests, grow the show, and just keep bringing value to people who are listening. So if you're listening to this now and you haven't hit the subscribe button, go over and hit that button for us now, and we can do all the things that we've just said. And
thank you to everybody that's subscribed so far, and let's continue.
We appreciate it. Let's go.
That was it.
Right, perfect. Looking at the stats. Right? Yeah, but I just don't know if I would get so sucked in. Like, for example, someone who I know really well said that they got a whoop, and then when their body battery's saying X amount, they get down about it. They're like, oh, I'm pissed off now because I didn't sleep well last night and now I'm annoyed.
That's literally what happened, yeah.
So you're looking at these numbers and you're getting down about the numbers, although you think you probably slept well, but your watch is telling you you fucking, or your whoop's telling you you didn't.
And this podcast ain't sponsored by Whoop, and we're not investors in Whoop, so I'll tell you the truth.
Get that in there.
The data is actually inaccurate as well.
Are we recording, George?
I've tested it.
Oh, we're rolling, go.
The data is inaccurate. Not always, but
listen. These Apple Watches,
they're not all
so inaccurate as well. Like, for example, I could put it on. In fact, I'm going to do it now. I'm going to delete it, but I'm going to go on now. Right? I'm going to go...
Delete the watch.
That never happened.
No, listen. I'm going to go now. I'm not going to go basketball. I'm going to go hit. Right? And I bet you it says I burnt about fucking 600 calories by the end of this conversation.
Just by sat there.
So obviously...
Bro, I burned 600 calories just watching you talk.
There, watch, hit.
Absorb them.
Right? Can't see that, whatever fucking camera's on. So I bet you I've burnt an extra 600 calories. And I won't have, but that's what I mean. So you could go to the gym and just sit down and fucking fiddle with Instagram.
Time is it now?
It's, that's on the timer. So it's 3:57.
So I'm going to see what my heart intensity says.
All right, okay. Cool.
Probably 2.9 strain.
So talk me through the aura and why'd you go from the whoop to the aura? What's different about it? Because it give you the same stats.
No, it kind of gives you the same stats. Whoop is a lot more detailed. You get like a breakdown of.
Can I just help you on your podcast that you're on as well?
Yeah, there you
make
go.
sure that you're speaking into your microphone.
It's there. The Whoop gives you like proper detailed reports, and it gives a lot more information, whereas the Oura Ring is kind of more based around like your sleep and your activity, but like HRV levels on Whoop and the reports that you get are massively, massively detailed. But like I said, there's some inconsistencies with the data that you get.
Right, well, everyone says to me, Whoops are great, and then they get information overload and fuck them off. So how long have you had your Whoop?
I've had it for about a month now.
Oh, so it's relatively brand new then?
It's like a game though, isn't it? It's like last night, 87% recovery. Oh, right. And then I went out the other Saturday, my recovery was 0, and it said I didn't sleep, which my heart rate must have just been going through the night.
Oh, is that when you posted me a 338 when you were out? You did like something like Stu. How many steps did you do?
30,000. 30,000 steps, so 7,000 calories.
Yeah.
Got home at like 5:30, 6. And I slept for about 4 hours. But it said in those 4 hours I didn't sleep because my heart rate must have been going still.
Because you're hyped up when you're out, especially if you're in a nightclub and you're around that environment. You've obviously. But the thing is, some of my friends who said they went out for 1 pint and then they got up the next day and the body battery said they didn't sleep very well.
Yeah, it's mad.
So that would piss me off. Anyway, sorry, we've gotten off on a tangent. We haven't even really started.
We're pure health right now.
Well, it's interesting.
I love it.
But it's more devices. It's more devices. It's more tech.
More
it's
information.
More stuff that's telling you that you should do X, Y, Z. It serves a purpose. But I'm just saying there's inconsistencies from what I've seen. 18 months.
I mean,
down the
steps
line.
is on beta mode, I believe.
Yeah.
So it's like
it's wicked for sleep.
Those 30,000 steps I did, maybe it was 22. But either way, it's still good.
Remember
Well,
when
I've just burnt an extra 13 calories there, lads. So
Waf was on. He went, I did a 25-hour set and I did 50,000 steps.
yeah, just left and right. Yeah, just in the booth. Just
two
didn't even move anywhere. But anyway, Ed, welcome. How you doing, mate?
All good, mate. All good.
We were chatting before about the last time we actually, and I had this conversation with Jeff as well. I hadn't seen Jeff, and I obviously was from the same place as him in the Northeast. I hadn't seen him like 7 or 8 years. We can't even remember. But when did we last see each other?
It would have been.
Was it before?
Either Ibiza or would it been at a gig in Sankeys, I reckon.
Well, it was definitely before lockdown. So let's put that to So there's at least 4 or 5 years.
Coming up to 5.
Is
it coming up to 5 years?
Well, no, so 2020, 21, 2, so 25. It's at least 5 years we went into lockdown, right? Yeah. Well, was it March 2020?
Yeah, March.
And then before then, I mean, I wasn't in Ibiza as much as I was in so probably maybe 18 or 19. So probably 6, 7 years ago. But I don't know why you popped up on my feed again. I was like, fuck, I haven't seen Ed for ages. And then I saw what you were doing, obviously very much in the music scene now. But what you're doing is you're doing it differently to when we were doing it together. There was a lot of partying and stuff. But before we go into that, just going to give the listeners a little bit of context. Who you are, what you do, where you come from, all that shite.
Yeah. So the last 10 years, people would know me from just, it's always like Sankey's Ed. Do you know what I mean?
I said about Sankey's.
It was Sankey's Ed, do you know what I mean? It was or Ibiza Ed. It was one of the two. So I kind of just cut my cloth in Ibiza, then that kind of comes over to the UK in the winter months, doesn't it? Whether it be marketing, phone events, and then I kind of just sort of fell into that marketing category bracket, I guess. And I worked with some incredible brands as well. So, started off at selling Pukka up tickets when I was in 2006.
Really?
That was my first summer.
No, I didn't know you did that.
Yeah. Pukka, selling physical tickets on the beach, like nicking people's flip flops to make them buy a ticket. Do you know what I mean? Like proper rogue selling. Do you know what I mean? Just in €200 a week. Do you know what I mean? And then luckily, you kind of just, you'll know this from Ibiza. You get a PR job on the streets, and then you think, whether it be Space, Pasha, Ibiza Rocks, or whatever it is, and then you kind of think, you know what, I want to stay with this company. So then falling into the marketing kind of just progressed from there. When everything started to go digital and Facebook, Insta, and then just kind of just from there onwards, it's kind of I've developed a career, luckily or not luckily, however you want to look at it, in marketing. So
definitely not luckily. I know how hard you've worked. Even if you at the time, when we were just talking before we come on set about last time we really partied properly in 2016 at your villa, and we were working. I was just kind of cutting my teeth in the professional DJ. Well, I got my first couple of releases the year before, but you were working. Were you doing Sankeys then?
So
2016.
I started with Sankeys in 2013, 14.
Ibiza.
Yeah, Ibiza. Properly. So I was firmly in with Sankeys then. 2016 would have been where we did a lot of the partying. Yeah,
there was a lot of partying that year. That was the year that we did the season. So I did 12 and 13 as I was at uni, and this is kind of where I met Ed. It was all through Sankeys. It was definitely all through Sankeys. Yeah. I used to go to Sankeys all the time, and I obviously saw that all the time. But as you start to get into these circles, you see the same faces more and more backstage and stuff. But I remember being 2016 where I said, right, I just got a manager. I'm going to go to Ibiza. I'm going to get a villa with 7 of my friends and my wife, or whatever, 6 of my friends and my wife. And all I'm going to do is sit and make music and gig. And my manager was like, no, you're not. No, you're not.
That's a lovely thought.
I've heard this before. It doesn't happen. I'm not going to mention names, but 2 or 3 other artists on the roster who I looked up to at the time. And I was like, still now look up to them quite a bit. And they had, amazing accolades. But he said, look, they've all said the same thing, and they've gone out to Ibiza to do a season, to be inspired, to go out there and write music. Like he said, don't bother. You're going to waste a whole month, a whole summer.
Scatamines for every week. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. So he was right. I didn't make one tune all summer. We just had loads of parties to spend it around your house, and we just sat in Sankeys on Sundays for Viva Warriors and all. It was great fun, right? But that's kind of where I know you from. But both of us are in a very different place now. But what I noticed about you is obviously you're still very much immersed in that industry, but you're doing it differently. And I wanted to get you on to talk about that because you post to be in the gym and like all that stuff, but still posting stuff about being in Studio 338 and doing 30,000 steps, and you're doing it side by side. And I think for me, looking not even from the outside, because I was there doing it from the DJ point of view, that was impossible for me, Ed, because I couldn't do it. It sucked me up.
It's a head fryer.
Yes. So what point in that journey from you working through from fucking selling Pukka up tickets to doing what you're doing now, was there a point where you realised that I'm going to do it differently, I'm going to live my life differently, I'm going to look after myself, exercise, eat well, whatever it is? Was there a point, or was it just like a slow transition? What was that journey like for you?
You know what? There wasn't a sort of one moment where you go, right, I'm stopping this. I think it's like a progressive thing that you build up to that. Ibiza, mate, like, let's be honest. You're surviving, because that's the word, surviving, on a couple of hours sleep a night. You're still in work mode because it doesn't sleep. I mean, at Sankeys, for example, we had 140 consecutive parties to run. You can't have a day off. Your day off still consists of you being on your phone, answering to emails, checking online. The owner's going, fucking hell, why the fuck's this? I mean, you know what I'm on about.
Yeah.
We're saying no name.
Fucking
hell. You're like, oh, you get that anxiety on your phone. Do you know what I mean? So it's a bit like, so you're dealing with all that. And I guess you do get to a point where you think, I can't continue to do that. In Ibiza, you're running on artificial highs all the time. If you were to have, you'll know this, August, the brick wall. Everybody hits a brick wall because like we were there from like April through to October. You get half a day off here or whatever.
It's mental that.
That's if you're lucky.
Back to back parties.
Yeah, no, literally.
Yeah.
I mean, I was doing that up until 2019. That sort of rinse and repeat, up work, and let's be honest. When you look back at it, your head is goosed. It's...
For me, when I was doing the season at the same time as you, I wasn't doing any of the work bit, and I was DJing on the weekends.
Yeah.
And I was doing Jacky and Friends at Sankeys in the UK, so I was flying back to do Jacky and Friends at Sankeys, and then I was touring also. Yeah. I was coming back, and I'd say there was a party at Sankeys, I might have seen you on the night, and I'd get up the next day and I'd be walking around or whatever, maybe just going to see friends, and you'd be somewhere on your laptop working, right?
Yeah, always.
And so I'd see you in the booth at like 3 a.m, and you were maybe having a drink with me, but the next day you were working at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And that for me is a different beast altogether. Because I used to but looking back, I used to complain about being tired because I was touring, but it was all self-inflicted. I used to go to the after parties and the after parties, and I never used to be able to say no. But with you, and you're in Ibiza, you're there all summer, and you've got parties every night. So that's a completely different view that people don't see of how nightlife works. They need people like you to be on the phone and available all the time.
Fucking hell. And that's the thing, though, isn't it? It's people do not see that. They see, okay, there's two. Ibiza Ed or Sankeys Ed is a persona, right? Like that's the Ed that everybody sees in the club. Let's do a shot. Let's do this. Let's do that. And that's the party version. And you can't sustain life living like that. Like it's impossible because you're just. I mean, how many people do we know and do we see that are just going further into this hole? Do you know what I mean?
We spoke about it recently on the show, haven't we? Yeah. We've been not names we mentioned as well.
And it's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
So you either catch yourself, or before you know it, you're going into rehabs, or going to the fucking Amazon jungle for fucking 3 months.
Yeah.
Find yourself, or whatever it is. I don't know. Is that just natural power or is that supernatural power?
This is just natural. That's supernatural, I think, mate.
Supernatural energy.
That's the fiery mango. Is that your favourite?
It's got it all.
Open it on the mic. Are you?
Hold on, ready? What is it?
Oh, you haven't got
ASMR?
headphones on. Is
ASMR?
it AMSR? ASMR.
ASMR.
Are you ready?
That's that's for the listeners.
Sensational.
Yeah. What were we talking about? We're talking about the different sides of.
Yeah.
Ibiza Ed and Sankeys Ed. Was that Sankeys Ed? That's what I remember you as.
Sankeys Ed.
Yeah.
And it's so mad though because it's like on social, it's like, oh, I've been past your number, been past your profile. Are you Sankeys Ed? Da, da, da. I'm like, well, yeah. And it's kind of like you have to. You saying like, where was there a point? So obviously Sankeys in Ibiza, we know how that ended. Unfortunately, you hit a point where it can't sustain, which is unfortunate because it was a fucking great ride that was. And I think COVID allowed me and probably a lot of others to have that break. Because otherwise it is rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, and that goes through every sort of aspect of life, I guess. Even people in their normal jobs over here, it allowed them to sort of take a step back and go, do I really want to do this?
Yeah.
So I kind of feel that during that, in that moment, in that time period from 19 to probably 2022, I opened up a venue in Birmingham, my own. So I kind of escaped it, but didn't. It's like I fell back into that.
Yeah.
That closed down for whatever reasons.
Bear Chat is powered by Tenzing Natural Energy. As pure as your morning coffee, but without the jitters.
Whether it's the early morning grind, the afternoon slump, or the pre-workout that you need for that session, we've got you covered. It's 100% plant energy, no added sugar, and definitely no crash. Just clean, natural energy to keep you going.
And because we love you, anyone listening to this show gets 30% off. So quote BEAR30 to get your boost.
And then I kind of felt that cycle, you wake up and you just feel like, fucking hell, here we go again, another week. And I couldn't carry on doing that. And I was just saying off camera, just like literally a year ago next week, I hit a point where I was like, okay, it's sink or swim now. Like putting loads of weight, using food to escape, stresses and pressures of life, the partying and whatever. Like you said, I was still sustaining my work.
Yeah.
But then I was like, but I'm probably only utilising 60% of myself and my brain power and creativity to do that. So the last year, mainly, it's been a case of, okay, let's bring that fitness element back into life. Let's reduce, not going to remove it, because I am a firm believer of moderation.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, chaos, or fortunately, is within us.
Yeah.
Give me a margarita and steak hips are out. We're out all night. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's not every weekend now.
Yeah.
It's more, I'm going to go out on this night and then have a couple of months off, focus on the gym, focus on eating right, getting up early, ensuring the work's done. So I kind of, going back to the original question, it is a progressive thing where you build up to a point. So yeah.
Yeah, that definitely answers the question. But I just... There's so many similarities, all the things he's saying. To me, he was just talking about me.
Yeah.
When I went to lockdown, I had to stop. I had to face myself in the mirror and go, "What the fuck am I doing? Do I want to do this anymore?" And obviously, I took the decision not to.
Did you find that you had a persona, Jacky the DJ?
Yeah, it was a brand.
And you live up exactly. You live up to that, right?
Yeah, I was trying. When I was doing my socials, I was trying to be that person, even though that wasn't me. I am daft, and I've got like a comedy side, but I'm not like. It was just so forced. It was forced. It was a fake persona that I was trying to sell myself because I thought that's what I needed to do for people to book me or like me or to stay relevant or whatever it was. It was like, fill in the blank. I was doing that. But what you were saying about like, for me, food was kind of a thing. But for me, it was drinking, drugs. I kind of lead into that. So even because when I was in the tour and life, the lifestyle, I was distracted by all the noise and the traveling because even when you're traveling, it's just dead time. You're not really thinking about stuff. And I was using it to just escape, really. And then when I was sat in lockdown, I know I've probably said this loads of times on the show, but it's relevant to what you just said. It made me face myself and go, right, what is it I want? And then I realized I don't want to do this. And when I've spoke to Pete about it, I've told you, and you've said that's one of like the bravest things you could have done. But for me, it was, and I'd always describe it as the easiest and the hardest decision I've ever made, because yes, I'd worked 10, 11 years to get to that point, but I wasn't that same person anymore when I started. The person you knew in 2016, the person I know now looking at you, you're not the same person. We all grow. But that identity that I had was different. I didn't want to be that person anymore. So yes, I've left a career behind which I've worked for years and years to achieve. But what's the price of happiness? Like, I wasn't happy, you know?
It's like a persona / ego death, isn't it?
Yes.
And you have this battle. I guess, you know, if we're honest with ourselves, when you're doing these things and you're in the midst of it, you're doing it, you're thinking, why the fuck am I doing this? Oh, fuck it, put my fucking ego hat on or my persona hat on. It's like, oh, let's do this, let's do that. And then the next day, you sat with yourself thinking, fucking, I've done it again. And again, that builds up to a point of when you start thinking about, do I want to do this? You've got this voice saying, nah, fucking, let's crack on, this is fun. You know, that's the chaotic side that's feeding off, controlling you. And then you've got the side that's going, mate, you're nowhere near your full potential here. Sort your shit out. So these two having a battle, you're in the middle thinking, oh, what the fuck what am I doing?
What do you call that?
The wolf in it, the good and bad wolf.
Yeah.
The evil wolf and the good wolf. And it's funny what Ed's saying, because the other week we had a guest on who shared a similar story. He owned a nightclub in Tenerife, and his persona, his mask, was to be the nightclub owner. So entertain people. And he was doing it. And then it got to a point where he actually didn't want to do it, but he had to perform.
You force yourself.
For the people, for the guests. So again, it's putting a mask on and it's living up to that, like you were saying, the persona. But what happens, and going back to what you were saying before, Ed, as well, is it's not only when you're doing a job and you're doing a role and you're partying and you're involved in that kind of world, you're not sleeping right, you're not eating right, you're operating at probably 40%.
I was going to say, it's not 60. I think that was generous.
40 at best.
Yeah. That was generous, 60, yeah.
Your capacity, but then when it gets to a point and you're doing it where you actually really don't enjoy doing it anymore, the energy spent still fulfilling that, take another 50% off that 40%.
Yeah.
So you're probably operating at 20%. Yeah. And it crucifies you because you need to break away from it, but it's something that you did enjoy and love at one point. But as we get older, we do change.
Your priorities change, don't they? What our life changes, how you perceive life changes without going too deep. It's all like
go deep, Ed.
It's all good.
it's like the old from pills to hills thing, isn't it? Like your priorities, your objectives in life change, your goals change. For me, I'm 38 now. I can't fucking be doing that.
Yeah, I know.
I was going to ask how old you
hell.
are. Do you remember what age I said to you before? I said, how old were you on your birthday last week? Your birthday last week or week before?
36, yeah.
And when you get to that age, I found, because I'm 45 now, just turned. And that was my later years, late 30s. And then in my 40s now, like, I love staying at home at night on the couch with my dog.
There's nothing better. It's
having a nice sleep. My whoop going. Well, no, I'm not wearing it now. Bing, 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 bing. 5 gold stars. You had a great sleep last night. If I had a whoop back in the day, it'd just been like, fucking take it off, mate. Whoop head office would have messaged and just gone, get rid of it.
Fucking wearing this.
You're bad for our data.
Speaking of which, I've burnt 107 calories now. Talking about energy spent, I'm smashing it here, though. Use a lagging behind. But yeah, the good and bad wolf.
Yeah.
And you said this to me. I struggled with the good and bad wolf. I mean, we all probably do in our own way. But that thing on your shoulder, which is how you put it in that analogy there of the wolves, is like, it really tears you apart. Even if you still sat in the middle and haven't made a decision, even that confrontation between like these two sides of your brain, it's tiring.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just give in because you can't be fucking asked to argue with you. Like,
you argue with yourself.
Yeah, you are. You're arguing with yourself. There's no one else.
Yeah. Fucking muttering to yourself. You're right. Oh, just don't worry about me.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Exactly. But yeah, I've seen that trend. I've seen physically in the last sort of few months your transition, and like seeing on your socials and the positive stuff that you're putting out about exercising, but still in the industry. And I had to reach out and ask if you come on and talk about it because I think it's important, because I know a lot of people out there who maybe are thinking about, I'm not in the music industry anymore. Apart from, you kind of are, kind of on.
Yeah,
because I'm utilising or being very lucky to utilise the contact list. For example, having you here, anyone who's still in the music industry, DJs we speak to, whatever. I'm still toeing the water, but I'm not in it. But there's people out there who I know, some of my friends who are still touring, who would like to take that jump to eating better, not going to the after party, even those two things on its own, right? On the road.
After party. Fuck, man.
Yeah.
That's a battle.
But they're
That's
still,
a fucking battle.
They're still doing it now. And you are in the music industry still. You're going to the parties, but you're still then going home. And, and again, I'm not saying you're doing it 100%. It's moderation. But you can see clearly, I hardly recognise when you come in, mate. You look completely different.
Right.
You've got really good, your skin's clearer. You've lost so much weight. You look great, man. So that's why I wanted to get you down today. I also wanted to see you. But like that conversation needs to happen because you can have your cake and eat it in that respect. You can go and have a night out and not have to go wild.
Absolutely.
But what I'm saying, this is a contradictory thing for me now because I can't do that, which is why I kind of wanted to also have you down today because I need a bit of that inspiration. In fact, I've probably avoided that, even though maybe some of friends of mine have been playing in London and I want to go and see them, but I didn't want to put myself in that situation. So
you've got to be a stubborn bastard.
Yeah.
Like I'm stubborn. Anybody that knows me will know I'm stubborn. If I don't want to do it, I'll say no. That's when I'm around people, but it's an environmental thing as well. You've got to remove, again, we know who we hang around with. We know what environments entice us. And we know what environments are good for us. You've got to learn to say no. You've got to go, you know what, guys, I'm going to sit this one out. I'm just going to go home. I need sleep. I was thinking about this on the way down, actually. I was thinking, what I kind of felt conversation would go like this. Listen, when you're in Ibiza, it's a rock star life. The average person, I don't think, will understand just how chaotic it is. It is what you think and more. I've gone, so nickname Ed Vegas. Vegas comes from Vegas never sleeps. Las Vegas. Yeah. Eddie Vegas, do you know what I mean? So it's a bit like, that's just to give you an idea of how chaotic life was.
Was that a persona you were living? And then you've given it, so then you just played up to it? Or
Exactly.
Yeah.
But for me, there needs to be more people speaking about look after yourself, look after your mind, look after your body, because when one of those goes, you're fucked. And you're useless essentially. You can lose if you're DJing, you lose your head. We know how fickle the market is. If you have a couple of months off, you don't get bookings, you're gone.
Forgotten about.
No, literally.
No, literally, I know, yeah.
So, when I see all these people talking about, oh, I don't sleep, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm just like, well done, mate. Yeah, it's that persona thing, isn't it? It's cool, but it's not. Do you know what I mean? You've got to look after yourself, man.
Yeah. That's the fine line with it as well, though, because even when I used to go out partying in my partying days, I was the party guy of the group, and I was the guy who sourced everything, acquired everything. So it was always like this badge of the last man standing started, seemed to stick. Yeah. Party Pete, exactly, goes right in there. And over my time, and you guys will have seen it as well, but I know over my time, let's take DJs for example. There's a number of DJs over the last 20 years who were celebrated as the party DJs, and unfortunately they're no longer here because nobody around them close at the time just kind of said, hang on a second. So we celebrate it without even realising, but when you see somebody who's sometimes pushing it that far, they're not in a good place. No. Sometimes.
Can I comment on that, actually? I'm not going to mention names. I keep saying this, not mentioning names, but people can figure it out if they want. Right? That's the whole point of saying I'm not mentioning names, even though Jeff said, you know who it is. Right?
Yeah. I know
there was a very, very famous, well-known DJ who was talking on a podcast recently about him and two other people and how hard they party. And one of them's not here anymore. Yeah. And that was glorified. There was people who retweeted it, re-reeled it, and put it on their Instagrams, and it was just getting hammered everywhere. And it's glorified. It's glorified how dark and deep they'll go into the weekend, and days and days become days. And it's just I looked at that video and I watched it. And I saw how many people are commenting, going, "Legend, this, that, and the other." I'm just like, what?
Yeah,
that's mental to me. Now I know, obviously, like you said, but you said the word cool. It is. They think it's
rock
cool.
And roll, isn't it?
It is. There's always been a place in that, talk about rock and roll stars before, right? But the rock and roll lifestyle of sex, drugs, rock and roll all weekend and stuff, and that, right? Okay, there's always been a place for that. It goes back years, right? But putting a clip out on social media, knowing it's going to get traction and kids are going to see this, that for me that's a different level. And I just find that there's a fine line between if you want to party and do that stuff, fine, but let's not show kids that it's cool to do that. I don't know. I just find that a bit.
I kind of feel that people skirt over the dark side of it.
Yeah, that's
they
it.
They skirt over it, and I'm just like, no, if you're going to do X, you got to show Y. Do Do you know what I mean? You can't just go, it's all this. Let's talk about those days, those Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays where your head is firming up your valve and you're sat there on the edge of your bed thinking, fucking hell, what's life? Let's talk about that. Because like you said, it's influence, right?
But on the comments, they were like, oh, yeah, these guys are a different breed. They're like, as in they don't get the come downs and the really bad hangovers. And then, you know, you sat there wondering about what is going on with my life, all that stuff. That wasn't even the comments on that post. It was all about like, wow, this is amazing. Yeah, legends. And listen, yeah, I just think the messaging is super important when you've got like a platform like that, especially when you know you've got a lot of people looking up to you. So the glorifying of the after party, I thought it was kind of dead, to be honest. Like, you know, because now, I don't know if this is general consensus, but isn't it like cool now to be sober? It's cool to go out and like not drink. Oh, I don't drink. I'm not drinking. Like, there's a level of that, isn't there?
And I think it's also like going back to the COVID break. It forced people to break that weekend pattern.
Yeah.
Some, not all. Some were drinking at home every fucking day.
Yeah, I was doing that.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
but a lot of people, and touch on this is a marketing thing. There's a lot of youngsters now between 18 and 25 that aren't drinking.
No.
They're not partying.
Yeah.
You know, so it is now cool to be fit and healthy, and I probably fall into that fitness wanker bracket. So I'm like in the gym. Do you know what I mean? I'm drinking water, man.
Have you got your body battery?
Yeah.
What am I on now? Loads. I'm in zone 1, but I've burned 60 more calories since I
Yeah.
I'm going to knock this off now. You get the point. They're not accurate, but they do. Like, this keeps me. I don't know what you use, but if I haven't got my Apple Watch on and I do a workout, if I haven't got my Apple Watch on, if I forget it and don't put it on, I don't feel like I've even been at the fucking gym.
I've not even done 20,000 steps. So
No,
I'll wipe them off.
What's the fucking point? Sometimes I've gone to the gym and I've been super tired and I've only done it a handful of times, but I've looked down, not got my watch on, and I've actually had a split-second decision to go, maybe I should just go home and get it. It's a 20-minute drive.
Fuck it, I'm turning around.
It doesn't count unless I've got my Apple Watch on. But sorry, I digress.
But no, I think yeah, I do think that we've touched on what you said about having a platform. If you've got a voice, we've got to use it. We are now that generation of, there's going to be youngsters looking up to people in the industry. So let's talk about keeping your mind in check. Let's talk about keeping your body in check. You know, let's not glorify getting smashed Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and just surviving. Like, I just kind of feel we have a bit of a, what's the word?
Duty.
Yeah. Duty of care. Do you know what I mean? To sort of say, listen, we've done it. We know how much it could. Don't get me wrong. We had a lot of fucking fun.
We did it, and I
We
wanted
had
to say
a lot
that.
of fun.
And I don't regret any of it.
No, absolutely.
At all.
I mean, we probably needed it to discover who we are.
You said this, don't you? It's like a part of the journey, isn't it?
Out of darkness comes light and all the rest of it.
Exactly,
and yeah, look, what Ed's, because we were talking a little bit off camera before, Ed, but I think for me as well, from my experience and my journey and sharing conversation with people like yourself, is you get into that space you were just talking about then, about a duty of care to pass on or to support and help. But in a mad way, you only get that perspective when you've been through the darkness yourself. Like what you were saying before, from last year to now, you said you lost 4 stone.
4.5 stone.
So like,
Amazing, man.
Toxic living.
Yeah.
Shit, drinking. I mean, I worked out probably, this is when I owned the venue, owned the bar. You know, you go in Friday, Saturday, you know, you're drinking probably a bottle of rum a night, probably 3,500 calories with your mixers and everything else that comes along with that. Next day, you're shoving loads of junk food down you. Then you're on your arse for a couple of days. You're not going to the gym. You just can't be arse move. So, you know, the last year was about removing bad energy. You know, people that didn't align with the life that I wanted. People that are just sort of takers, people who, do you know what I mean? Again, you'll know this from the industry, your bullshit filter is phenomenal. So as soon as somebody says something, you're just like, full of shit. Yeah. And I switch off. But unfortunately, in the party scene and the venues, nightclubs, bars scene, there's a lot of people that just want something. Free drinks, tickets.
Guest list.
Backstage.
Fucking gas list. Do you know what I mean? Got a band. Fuck off. Yeah. but again, though, it's like...
That's me. I was always asking for bands. It was me. I always was. Hey, I was like, going out and see with you. You got any bands?
Yeah, 5 in my pocket. But there's some people you don't mind, though. But it's the people that... It's for me, it's like... If you send me a message, it's like, hey, up, mate, how are you? You all right? You think, yeah, you know, no problem. It's like, just a message. Can you get me on guest list?
Yeah.
Who the fuck are you?
Easy, mate. You got guest list. That like mate. After on that point, after being off for what it was 2020 March, I had some gigs. I did my last. It was supposed to be my last ever show at Studio 338.
The 338, didn't you?
Yeah.
The Sankey show.
Yeah.
Sankey's London one.
Which is ironic because I was obviously resident for Sankeys, or I had a residency at Sankeys with Jacky and friends. So I finished off at a Sankey show at 338, which is one of my favourite clubs in London.
Class.
It was awesome. Played fucking Share Believe the last tune. It was fucking so cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the original?
Yeah. Do you believe it? Mate, the video, it stops. On the chorus, everyone sings. The whole place. It was fucking me. I started crying.
Who would have thought Cher would be
Yeah.
playing that?
Mate, it's a banger, you know. If you listen to the drums, it's actually
It's a banger.
It's a fucking banger.
Straight up rhythm.
Yeah. What was I saying that for? What were we talking about there?
338 residency.
Yeah,
Sankeys.
What?
Last set.
Last set.
Yeah, but what were we talking about before that?
Guest lists.
Oh, guest list. Right, so that was it.
Did you see how we all just
fucking
contributed?
ADHD brains.
Thank you so much,
Rewind.
boy. Really.
It was like,
You know what this feels like? Being in a fucking kitchen at 5 in the morning going, what was you speaking about?
Oh, that-
You know. Oh, fuck, it's gone.
That's because of the supernatural energy.
Yeah,
That is.
yeah.
Healthy
Quiet.
jitters.
Cleansing have come through there. Right, so guest list. I hadn't spoke to some of these people since March 2020 because I didn't really do it to her. So I was like, I'm going to quit. I'm going to do 338, and that was my last London show. Mate, I had about 25 people come out the woodwork, and I hadn't spoke to them, and they were just fucking booth people, basically, like acquaintances, but like not even that. Some people I only knew from being in a couple of after parties.
Better like 9 years ago.
Yeah,
What, mate?
Yeah, because it sold out. Oh, have you got any guest list? And
Oh, because it's sold out.
yeah,
Yeah,
of course.
yeah.
That's why I sold out. Gonna get guest list, but that's rife. And I used to get that every time I go somewhere. You get messages in your DMs, but for you, because you were at Sankeys, you get that. You must have got that every single day. I can't imagine what that did to you.
You know what? I was thinking about this on the way down. So before, in like 2011 and 12, I worked for Space Ibiza.
Yeah.
And we had Kakuma on.
Oh, Kekuma! I forgot about Kekuma.
remember.
Was that Thursdays? Yeah.
Kakuma Thursdays
So good.
was like the night for workers.
Yeah.
And I can remember, and this is before iPhone. Was it before iPhones?
It was
No.
the early stages.
Early stages, let's say.
Early
Anyway, I had the, you'll know this, the little BIC phones. All you can do is call and text. That's it. And it was like the screen was tiny. And people used to send messages with the names. 800 people on a Thursday, every Thursday. I had to copy and paste
God.
the messages or write them down. 800 people every Thursday. Mad.
Oh yeah, that's fucking long.
Remember that night?
Kekuma.
I can remember
That was
once.
So good.
I can remember once one of the guest lists didn't go through, and I was stood outside, and it was like, oh, I'm on Ed's guest list, and he was like, oh, we haven't got it, and it was just a mix-up in the office. He did have it, but it was just like it was sent later on the email thread, and this guy don't even know, oh, fucking old wanker this, wanker that. I was a bit like, what's your name, mate? Told me. I was like, you're not on the guest list now. Like, I didn't even know him, so I just said to him to strike his name off. Do you know what I mean? So he's just like,
Yeah, chances, mate.
yeah, do you know what I mean? It's like, but the guest list requests are wild.
Yeah. So you must still get that now, though, right?
You know,
338.
yeah. So it's yes, yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Not to the extent of what it was, because like with having your own venue, it was a different dynamic, and then going back into the venue marketing and being vocal about it the last sort of year, it has started to happen again, which I don't mind. You know, if you got manners. And you know, you actually say, hey, "How you doing? How are you?" Do you know what I mean? Don't just go got a guest list. Because
I think there's an etiquette to it, right?
Yeah.
If someone messages and like asks how you are, it's almost like feed my ego a little bit and I'll sort you out.
You get chances, don't you? I see loads of people when in Ibiza. So obviously, I live there, and I'll go to the events occasionally still now, and you see people chancing it, trying to get backstage and everything.
Yeah.
You know, trying.
Oh, 100%.
And
Even I do. I go DC10. I'm like, look, I'm going fucking somewhere. I'm looking for Nick Yates to sort us out with. Nick.
one of the girls that I know, like at High, says that she works there, and she's like, I can't even go backstage because it's that bad.
Yeah.
Like on a black coffee night.
Oh,
it's
that.
that hammered.
I think it's like when I look at these crowds now, it's my worst nightmare. I think the people behind backstage, they're the worst people.
Oh, it's
a
awful.
lot of 80% of the worst people, like full on posing twats. And I'll say it as it is. I watch videos, I think, is this what it's come to? But they're allowed in For what reasons? I
Well,
don't
it
know.
looks good. You know, we're speaking to Max Chapman about this. Max was like, I kind of like that, you know. He's like, why is this when he's DJing? Because at least I don't feel like I'm sat on my own. I'm stood on my own because you've got all these people around you. And to be fair, it's that I don't know whether this started with Boiler Room, but Boiler Room created that like behind the DJ theme. And I'll be honest, when I'm looking at a video that someone's even like Eden started doing it. Eden create this really cool because the booth
They
in
put
Eden
the steps in now, haven't they? Eden? They brought it down, haven't they?
Yeah. So when I first started playing at Eden, when was defected in 2017, the booth was still up a height. And every year they lowered it a little bit more. And then now it looks cool as fuck. I admit it looks cool. But when you're actually in the booth and people are like, they're just trying to get closer to the DJ and they're nudging you around. Yeah. And you can't move. Yeah, it's mad. It is a mad thing, but that's now a thing, isn't it?
It's
Being in the
thing,
booth.
yeah.
It used to be for like friends.
Friends, yeah,
that
friends.
Was, that was
yeah.
it. It was friends. You know, like Ibiza would be like, "Can I get in?" I know we used to have obviously Warriors on a Sunday. I know Steve. Do you know Steve? Everyone knows Steve.
Everyone knows Steve.
Everyone knows fucking Steve. Like, what's his middle name?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Or whatever. Yeah. And it used to be for friends, and I do kind of miss that.
I think it definitely started with some sort, whether it was Boiler Room, I don't know, but Boiler Room did do that thing where you've got the camera on the DJ, right on the DJ, and everyone's behind them. So obviously you're going to have, because the camera's in front of the DJ, you're going to have people behind. And I seen that video, that Boiler Room with Honey Dijon, and I was like, fuck, that looks
The
cool.
Mushroom Mountain one, is it? Is that what?
I don't know, but it's outdoor.
The one in Australia, I think it was.
Is it Australia? I think I see a Gerd Jansen one there. Anyway, whatever.
I think that's the Australian one. Is it?
Is it?
Is that track? I forget what it is. It's class. I can't.
Yeah, proper. Yeah, but anyway, I saw a clip of that and I was just like, when everyone's hands in the air from the front and the back and the sides, I'm not going to lie, it looks cool.
It does look cool. From a marketing perspective.
Class. But as a punter, or if you're there, let's say you're there to see your friend play, because obviously maybe I do know someone there, and you're in a booth with like 90% people who also, by the way, sometimes are put in there to look busy.
Yes.
It does happen, right? Yeah, it's a thing.
Strategic placing.
But listen, also, are we not just whinging, Ed, because we've come from, well, you've been clubbing, fucking hell, I'm not going to speak for you. How many years have you been clubbing?
I went to my first club when I was 15, 16. It was Void in Stoke.
Void.
The Void.
Void in Stoke, no.
Yeah, it was class. It was fucking, walked in, it opened my eyes to a whole fucking new world. It was mad. I think
so that reaction is what I had in the Sankeys when I was 19. So when you walk in, I was like, so I've been to Digital in Newcastle, but I'd never walked in somewhere and gone, this is different life.
You think, fuck.
This. I was like, I want everyone to know about this.
I'd been going Sankeys 6 years at that point.
You get bored of it. I'm a fucking veteran.
That weren't Sankeys.
Who are these kids? This is my stomping ground.
Cream in Liverpool for me was my first
Class.
I
caught the back end of that.
Yeah.
And I can remember again. It's that, you know, when you're queuing up outside. And you've got a little.
Yeah.
You
get
sat
that
there
little
thinking,
bubble in your stomach.
am I going to get in? Fucking hell. Sat there like, ooh, no, 16, thinking, are you going to ID me? I remember I had little sideburns, put mascara on and look older.
I had big long sids.
Yeah. Well, it's cool then, right?
Yeah, it got me in.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that feeling, do people still get that now? Because again, it's a social media thing, right?
Yeah.
I was thinking about this on the way down as well, on the train. So for me, I was lucky to party before social media and during and after social. It's a big thing now. It's an integral part of it. You'd read Mix Mag, you'd read DJ Mag, you get the Passion magazines or whatever it was. You're like, who's playing what? You go to a club, Cova Leicester we used to go to for trance nights, and you come out back to your car and you have a packet of flyers.
Oh, the packs!
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I forgot about that.
You'd leave with a pouch with all different
Slap on your bedroom wall, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I forgot about that.
But I kind of feel that's been lost in social, because it was like, what DJs are coming up, and you only had people's word of mouth. You had the radio, you had the CDs. I want to go watch this DJ. I want to go see this or whatever. And I used to love that, man.
But it has changed. But what I was trying to allude to was, are we not just? We've got an impression of what it should be like because we've grew up in an era where it was X, Y, and Z. Again, fill in the blank, right? And the booth was like this and the lineups were like this. Sometimes lineups weren't even posted. You just go and you wouldn't even know who was on it. You were going. I was speaking to Jeff about this, Manpower about this. About I used to go to a club in Newcastle And he actually said it first, but I resonated straight away, where you don't know if anyone's going to be there. You haven't texted anyone, you haven't organised. You just go in, you know people. It's that night, so you know you're going to see Tom, you're going to see this person.
Yeah.
So it's like a family community vibe, where what Jeff was saying was now you go to these massive, huge, like say, thousands of people events. You go with your crew, but you don't really speak to anyone else.
No,
So
you stay in your pocket.
so you're not really like doing the thing where you'd like, as Pete said it just before, he said something like, you turn to your mate when the tune drops and you go, fuck off. Or no, someone you don't know.
Someone you don't
make
know.
eye contact with someone across the dance floor and you go, oh yeah, that, all that stuff. And I'm sure that still happens. I'm not saying that's not there. But what I'm saying is, that dynamic's changing. Are we not just like stuck in our ways where we go, that's how it was? And like go, not saying it to yourself that I don't want like change. I think change is really good.
Change
has to happen.
Yeah.
But we know what it was like when we started, and that's imprinted in our minds.
Yeah.
So maybe
does it happen? I mean, I don't
know. I haven't been on a dance floor in a long time, bro.
Yeah.
So
The example when we were talking to Jeff when we did that episode and had the conversation, I was saying to Jeff that I've been similar to you, Ed. I've been through clubbing from the late 90s, early 2000s, Ibiza every year. I live there now, and everything's changing. Even the iPhone. Look at what it's like now from when it first came out. I remember when I had the first camera phone, it weren't really that good enough to even take pictures. Yeah. But now you've got 4K HD cameras on your phone.
I know, it's crazy.
So now when I have been out recently to the odd event and a tune drops, I've turned around to go like that, and the person stood with the phone.
Yeah. So maybe it doesn't happen as often.
So there are elements where that is missing, and again, it's not judgmental and it's not a bad thing. But
it's observation.
The reason why the booths are getting so full as well is because everyone wants the money shot. Everybody wants to post the video with the superstar DJ on their Instagram. So they're that busy waiting for the video or to get the video. Like, seen that Kind music video that went viral, the closing.
Soulless.
Wasn't that where just everyone stood still?
Soulless. That's my idea of hell.
Wasn't anyone? No one was dancing, were they?
I think there was one guy.
They were all just stood still with the hands in the air.
And he was
I do
half
remember the clip.
dancing, I think.
So that's not
Crazy.
Now, if you rewind it and take it back, okay, we're going to be nostalgic about where we've come from because we was lucky because at that time, I used to get a mixtape in Athlete's Palace with Sasha on it or Carl Cox. Now kids have got SoundCloud, Mixcloud. Yeah. You can get endless mixes, which is a really good thing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's that much out there. Where do you go? And a lot of people that are going to these events now, some of them I've seen, because someone's even said to me when such and such a DJ playing, and the DJ had been playing for 3 hours. They didn't even know the DJ.
They're just there for
They just wanted the video. So there are them elements, but the key, and the conversation we had before, is that to a degree, that community clubland vibe that we're talking about, that moment with a stranger of going, what a tune, and then you bump into him in the toilet and like, what's your name?
Where are you from, mate?
As soon as you said Manchester, you go sankeys. And then as soon as you say Newcastle, you go, did you? Do you know what I mean? That kind of element does fizzle away. So it is a time of change, but then it has its pros and cons for sure.
Yeah, the sankeys or the digital or shindig, you Newcastle shindig, like all that stuff. That is lost, I think, to a greater extent, which is why Jeff is doing. I don't know whether you've seen. He's doing
a social club thing last Saturday.
Yeah,
just gone, wasn't it?
And he's doing it all the time. But he's trying this thing where it's not in Newcastle, it's in North Shields, so it's out the town. They're not trying to compete with footfall from other clubs or other.
It becomes its own thing.
Exactly.
Community led.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what's needed.
But so on the community community led aspect, which Jeff was talking about quite extensively, is that he puts posts out to the community asking what they would like. So it could be like, is anyone up for like not having phones? And people will vote yes and no, and whatever the consensus is, they'll go with these things based on the community. So when they go, like a story that he told was, these group of lasses came, and it was when is it Ewan McIver? I think that's how you say his name was playing, and they were all at the front with their phones. And some of the guys who've been there a couple of times went, "Don't worry about that. Come, put your phones down. You'll have a good time." And they were like, "Oh, all right." And then by the end, they were all just
really,
yeah. but by the end, they were all there, and they didn't have the phones out, and it was like this community consensus where everyone's there for the same reason, but that works both ways. So when everyone's got the phones in the air, you're like, fuck, I'm missing something.
Yeah.
So it does work both ways, doesn't it? But what Jeff's doing with the King Street Social, I think it's incredible. And he's got the response has been massive. He's been on the news. He's been on doing interviews, and the One Show got in touch, and like incredible things. But the fact that the One Show got in touch because he's doing a party where people don't use their phones, or when people are like there for...
Was that the narrative of it?
Well, no, I don't think it was just the no phones. In fact, I think he spoke specifically about that. It was about the fact that you probably
we're not a no phones policy venue. However, it's better if
it isn't a rule.
So what he's done recently as well, which was pretty cool, he put it on a post, is they got disposable cameras and just gave them away to the first 100 guests who came in, and they got old school style pictures taken.
We were looking at that for a couple of our parties as well. It's
wicked.
Like how to connect with your crowd. Like we touched on it earlier about the look after yourself, don't cane too hard influence. I think we also have we can influence people to put your phones away. This is how it was, and trust me, it was fucking great.
Yeah.
Don't worry about recording everything because you're not in the present. You're missing that.
Yeah.
Now, how many videos or pictures we've got on our phones from over the years that we never watch?
Well, yeah, you got
They're
so
never
many.
as good.
Yeah,
They're never as good.
And you think they're class, but then you're doing this video. I've noticed that so much. Like before, we kind of all came to a head with like lockdowns and stuff. I looked through some content, and it was shocking. And I wasted maybe 5 or 6 really good drops where I could have had a moment with my friends on my phone, and they were all doing the same thing.
Too focused on
and it was,
moment.
And I've watched it 5 years later and gone, well, that's shite. So what was the point of,
that's wank.
Yeah. But no, people put in their stories now these days and like showing people where they are. Like, oh, I'm at this cool party and I'm seeing this DJ or whatever. Like you said, a lot of people don't know the DJs. But again, this isn't criticising. This is just observations that I'm making. Now I'm out of the loop. I can kind of also say whatever the fuck I want, and I used to also hold back a lot. So I'd have this persona on my social media where I was trying to sell myself as a brand, but I'd quiet myself because I didn't want to upset people. And you have to be very careful.
You've got to be careful.
You're very much in the mix of it, but you've been very honest and open today, which I think is fucking mint, mate. I really appreciate it. But there was a level of that. So there's a level of like trying to create this persona which people are gonna like me and want to book me and get me book me back next year or whatever, or be on this roster or whatever. But there was also a level of like holding myself back, and I love that this project gives me an opportunity to catch up with old friends like you, and also just have open, honest conversation about stuff that I probably wouldn't have spoke about.
Yeah. I think authenticity is a key thing. I said something the other day. The three pillars to sort of growing on socials and whatever brands you got or whatever is cut the bullshit. People are tired of being lied to. People aren't stupid no more. Do you know what I mean? Authenticity, and then you do those two right, you're going to grow your community. So, and this is how parties. I mean, there's one at 348, Kai and Steve have got us Forward Motion. It's over 25s. There's hardly any phones there. And it had that feel of, that old feel of, fucking hell, people are here for the music. Do you know what I mean? They actually enjoyed it, and there was chatting away on the dance floor, talking to strangers. And I kind of think that when we see things online, it's like, you see younger people going, oh, we need to go to that. So I think even they are bored of phones, and they want to go to a party where they can not be on the phone all the time. But like you said earlier, it's one happens, then the second happens, and it can just compound to the whole crowd.
Yeah.
So it's I think again we have that we can have a positive influence of, yes, get your phone out if you want to, but let's just try and keep it to a minimum.
Yeah. Jeff did say something quite poignant though. It was about if you make a rule, like if you say no phones, then it becomes...
It's a taboo thing then, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
It becomes like... It's divisive, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because as we've seen recently, and again, going back to Ibiza and giving reference, because early last season, one of the main nights, or one of the big nights at Ibiza announced that was strictly a no-phones venue at night, which was pretty good, and people was like, oh, that's pretty cool, because it was different. But then another artist on an opposing night jumped on the mic and went, some people say no mobile phones. Fuck no mobile phones. I love mobile phones.
It's all reactive, isn't it?
But again, it's like what you're saying, authenticity. Yeah. Is it done for likes? Is it done for clout, for following? But I think whenever you tell somebody to do something, it's just one of them, isn't it? Leave the window open, and everybody kind of follows the kind of crowd. I've been to events where a few people get the phones out, but everybody's that busy having a good time that hardly anyone gets the phone out. And I've been out when some friends have gone, oh, what was last night like? Didn't even get a video. It was that good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when you're at events where it's that good, but again, it's pretty kind of like fear of missing out. If everyone's getting the phone out at Pasha for Music On, you see everyone and then they're like, right, I'll get my phone out. And then all of a sudden it's just a sea of them.
Yeah.
So it's...
Safety in numbers, isn't it?
But it's been authentic. And I've seen one of your posts said that you put on your social, which were really good. And
Talking shit, probably.
No, it was bang on. It was right.
Most likely.
It actually inspired me because sometimes I can fall into that category where I'm like, is anything that I'm even talking about any value to anybody? And that Dark Wolf starts to comment, but you said, no one gives a fuck about what you post.
That's so true.
No, straight in. No one gives a fuck about what you post. Post the thing. Don't worry about the miserable, judgmental bellend. Promote yourself as loud as you can.
Yeah.
And it is right.
That's meant.
You've got to get over imposter syndrome, though. I mean, I've been a victim of that. Like, I think I said to you, I was like, does anybody give a fuck about what you talk about?
Yeah.
And I thought, well, who gives a fuck? I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, exactly.
What if one person takes something out of it? You've done something, right?
Yeah.
But then, you know what? That doesn't even relate just to social media. That's like just in general. You know, like if you're out and about, right? No one, like if say, for example, you're conscious about how you look or whatever, no one gives a fuck because everyone's so wrapped up in their own shit. Yeah. So everyone's thinking the same thing. Right. So you're worried about how you've looked or you may be rushing, you're sweating a little bit, whatever. I used to all the time. I was always like really sweaty because I was always fucking hungover. But I'll always be really conscious about it. But like a lot of the time, but 99% of the time, everyone around me in these areas where I was in London or at an airport, everyone was so consumed in their own life and their own shit that they haven't got time worrying about the fucking sweat in your forehead. No one cares. And I love that, Ed, actually, because you're right. I started doing that way more and being more vocal and posting what I want to post. Because when I transferred over from like the old Jacky, the branded Jacky, to like now what I'm doing, and I was really kind of health focused and excited about, you know, the transformations I was doing with my body and like getting into like running and all that stuff. I used to hold back a lot because I was like, people going to think, what the fuck's he doing? Posting this shit.
Why are you running?
Who cares? I used to be a DJ. I've seen you for, whatever. I've done this, that, and that with you. I've seen the states you're in. Why are you posting this? But it's all my perception. We're talking to Alistair about this. It's my perception of what other people thought. But I have recently, in the last couple of years, thought, who gives a fuck? Yeah. And that's perfect. That's exactly how I feel now. But it took me a long while to get there. Yeah. I'm 36. It took me a long time. And I'm still peeling back the layers of the onion. Yeah. But I've still got a bit of that ego going, what if someone said...
Ego's a good thing, though, if you use it in the right way.
Yeah. We've all got an ego. We can't get rid of the ego. No, it's how you control that. Yeah. The good wolf and the bad wolf, the conscience and all that stuff. But for me, the thing that used to really, I used to sit for maybe an hour before I'd post something when I was doing like Jacky. I'll go, I've made this video. Should I post it or shouldn't I? Post it. But I used to sometimes take hours to decide, what if that person thinks I'm a dick, or what if someone, like, just perception. Yeah. Just all perception.
That's why I liked it.
I saw something the other day. You probably would have seen this, and it was like, if 20 people like your post or view your story or whatever it is, or then it's 50 or 100. Imagine 10 years ago when 20 people turned up for you to talk, or 30 people turned up. You'd be like, this is sick. But again, we fall into that vanity metrics of, that's not enough.
Or is it the post where you see the people? Amount of people, and you're like 20 or 50 people. It's like, that's a lot of fucking people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you get like 5,000 views or however many comments, imagine being in a room talking to those people and them agreeing with you. You take that straight away.
Incredible.
And we fall into that trap of continually wanting more or it not being good enough. Yeah. Whereas for me, this last year, it's just like, just fucking post it. If it resonates with one person, I've done my job.
Yeah.
It goes back to the 3 pillars thing. Be honest, be authentic, and then the community will grow off the back of those 2 things. So that's how I look at it now anyway.
Yeah.
And if somebody doesn't like it, I'll tell them fuck off.
Yeah. Well, it's right, because we had somebody on who we were speaking to as well, Eddie. He was an entrepreneur. He got awarded like Southwest Entrepreneur of the Year, and his business went from strength to strength. Ended up turning over like, you know, £20 million and all the rest of it. And he now has his business sold, and he had a bit of an issue and all the rest of it, but he now has his own business that's himself, and he goes in consulting businesses from start up to scale to then getting ready to kind of sell it. And it's similar to the pillars you're on about there. He basically does vlogs and videos, and he speaks out there, and he just is himself. He tells his story, and he said he's won more clients now, and he's more successful now than he was before because he just doesn't bullshit.
Exactly that.
He said, I just tell people who I am, and in a mad way, all these other businesses now and CEOs and big heads of businesses, corporates and that are hiring him because they like him, because for 9 of the people that come through the door, it's a sales pitch.
Yep.
And he's the one guy who comes in and says, your business is shit. This is why it's shit. And this is what I can do. And I'm going to tell you what I can do. And I'm not going to tell you that I can do any more or any less. That's what I can do, and that's how I can help. And he said, because he's that real, that's how he gets more business.
If you've got an authentic personal brand, you're going to attract your crowd, and that will always happen.
Yeah,
naturally.
It's not something made up, or you know, we've seen it happen, you know, day after day after day with multiple people. And I just kind of feel that if you do that and you're authentic and you're true to yourself, you will just attract, you know, whatever you need or you want. But it might be a slow process. It might be a quick process. But if you're being true to yourself, like we touched on earlier, this ego thing of, do people want to hear that? If you're just being true to yourself, you have more confidence and more trust in what you're posting.
Yeah.
You just got to get past that. You just got to break that boundary of, oh, do people care? Like for me now, I'm like, I don't care if you care, do care, don't care, whatever. I'm just not going to affect me. You know, you can say whatever you want online. I'm not asked.
Yeah.
You know, I will attract the people that I need to attract. So you just got to get past that and just do it.
I think that's a beautiful place to leave it. Leave it right there.
Really good.
Well, before we wrap up, we do a feature called Pass the Book, but we haven't got the book because it didn't arrive in time, did it? Unfortunately. No. But what the feature is, Ed, is the previous guest leaves a book for the next guest, not knowing who the next guest is. So the previous guest was Jeff.
Yes.
Also known as Manpower.
Yes.
And he left a book. Well, he did leave a book. We haven't got a fucking clue where it is. Called Breakfast of Champions by Kurt, and I can't say this, Kurt Vonnegut? Vonnegut, there we go. Cheers, George. Kurt Vonnegut. And he didn't leave a reason why, but I assume I asked him for his favourite book, and that was his favourite book. So basically the idea is, we'd obviously have the book here, we'd talk about it a little bit, but the fucking book isn't here. So here's the fake book. We'll send you in the post. And you'll leave a book for the next guest. But just before we wrap up, Ed, anything you want to plug? Again, before we do that, I just want to say thanks for coming down. Yes, it's been really good to see you, mate. Yeah. And actually shoot the shit, because we probably haven't sat and spoke sober ever.
Sober.
Even if we've had
you're on 10 things like
faces upside down.
Yeah. Not to mention the pill parties at yours and stuff. So yeah, we've definitely not done any. But
I didn't do that, Mum, Dad. There was no pills.
But this is the thing. This is another special thing about this. I get to sit. We get to sit down and have uninterrupted conversation, which doesn't happen that often. And this is great, and it's relaxed, and we get to catch up with old friends. So yeah, thanks for coming down, mate.
I appreciate it. Any
plugs, your handles, and all, to tell people about your business, whatever it is you do, go do it. But unless you don't want to plug.
You know what? I don't need to plug.
Okay, cool.
I mean, if you want to check me out, it's I'm Ed Vegas on Insta. Do you know what I mean? But it's for me, I'm just going to keep on doing my own thing. And I'll attract whoever I need to attract, man.
I want to pick your brain afterwards about the meta stuff.
I need to as well.
We need to have a chat. That's why we got you down, Ed.
Real reason.
There was a motive. But yeah, that's it. Thanks, Ed. Cheers, mate.
Wicked.
I appreciate it.
Big love.
Thanks everyone.
Okay.